meeting to order. Senator, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Please join me in making a pledge to our greatest flag in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The notice requirements of the New Jersey Public Meetings Law have been satisfied by forwarding a news release to the Asbury Park Press on December 20th, 2014, stating that a regular meeting of the Colts Neck Township Committee would be held on November 12th, 2015 at 7:30 p.m. Town Hall. The notice requirements have been posted on the township website and a copy is on file in the office of the township clerk.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orville.
Here.
Mayor McNabb.
Here.
Mayor Schatzle.
Here. Item number 1 is approval of minutes meeting of October 28, 2015. Any additions or corrections?
None. Motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orville.
Yes.
Mayor McNabb.
Yes.
Mayor Schatzle.
Yes. Item number 2 is a proclamation proclaiming December 2015, which we do this every year, is National Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month within the Township of Colts Neck. Whereas motor vehicle crashes kill over 40,000 people and injure 3 million every year. And whereas alcohol-related crashes account for approximately 38% of those deaths and injuries. And the December holiday season is traditionally one of the most deadly times of the year for alcohol-impaired driving. And whereas organizations across the nation are joined with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to launch You Drink and Drive, You Lose, a national public awareness campaign and law enforcement initiative. And whereas the community of Colts Neck Township is a partner in that effort to make our roads and streets safer, now therefore I, James C. Schatzle, Mayor of the Township of Colts Neck, do hereby proclaim 2015 as Drunk and Drug Driving Month in Colts Neck Township, and do hereby call upon everyone to promote awareness of the impaired driving problem, and for all to participate in the You Drink, You Drive, You Lose campaign this December holiday season and throughout the year. We will give this proclamation to our wonderful alliance, which Anita Dallas is one of our coordinators. Number 3 is we've been keeping him busy. Mr. Costa from our Environmental Commission giving us some information on a conservation easement at 89 Stone Hill Road. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. In 1999, when this subdivision was created, there was substantial wetlands on this 89 Stone Hill Road, and therefore a conservation easement was put in with about, I think it has 7 freeway markers to delineate the conservation easement, the original one. The current homeowners have been working with DEP for a number of years now to revisit the question of the wetlands, and DEP recently gave them a letter indicating that the wetlands no longer existed at all on the property, that it's now off the property, which is what the current map that you have indicates. So we have been working with the homeowners, Mr. and Mrs. Modi. Mrs. Modi is here, Mr. Modi is up traveling in India at the moment, so he could not be here. We've been working with them since the springtime with their attorney, their environmental expert. We visited the site on numerous occasions and have reached an agreement between the homeowners and the Environmental Commission on an environmentally sound approach. So we are recommending, therefore, that the current easement on the property be abandoned because the wetlands no longer exist, that the new conservation easement, as indicated on the plan that you have, be put on the property, that the split rail fence that the DEP is requiring be allowed within our conservation easement, and that there be 5 lolly columns, as you well know, the green columns, to delineate where the conservation easement is. The Environmental Commission, as the members of the committee, are always concerned with the delineation of conservation easements because as in this case, basically, they've been ignored over these years. Most of the greenway markers have been taken out. There were supposed to be 7 of them, most of them have disappeared. And in many, many cases, the conservation easements are just ignored by the homeowners. So we worked with these homeowners to say we want, the 5 columns to clearly delineate. They talked about putting a fence in front of that to potentially hide the lolly columns and that. But we're requiring 5 lolly columns, 2 on each end. It's about a 200-foot piece of conservation easement, so we're requiring 5 lolly columns. And then we're requiring the homeowners to install 20 native species plants and 5 trees between the fence required by DEP and our conservation easement. We're providing them with a list of species for which they could select. They could pick other ones, but we've talked with them about native species to give them some guidance as to what they might be able to do to make it aesthetically pleasing. One of their goals is to put in the pool where the former wetlands area was. So basically, the homeowner and the environmental commission are both in agreement with the recommendations that we made to you. And I will answer any questions that you might have, or if you have any from Mrs. Modi.
No, but both sides are in agreement, the environmental commission's in agreement, homeowners in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay. Seem like reasonable solution to the problem?
We think so after 6 months.
There you go. Well, maybe, so some work, some effort was put into coming to a mutually acceptable resolution, which is
probably
good.
many times, we can talk with the homeowners and that's a yes.
Okay.
And Dave,
Yes.
there's one piece of wetlands that's marked down here that's not going to be fenced in.
Can I propose to see where you're going?
Unless I'm reading this wrong. This is the buffer line here.
Yes.
What about this?
No, this is our conservation easement. Yes.
Right, but it's not in there. Why is it not in this?
Well, this buffer, basically the state is saying that they're eliminating that buffer. That's their reduction buffer. This is their whole reduction buffer area. So we're just cutting the line here, picking up this area, and giving up this little area here, so we have a net gain in the actual buffer, because we're getting more than we're giving out.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion.
I have a motion from Committee Mac now.
Move to, motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Marlboro?
Yes.
Councilman Mamtine?
Yes.
Mayor Shatner?
Yes, appreciate your time tonight, and Dave, yourself and the commission, we always appreciate the detailed work that you do.
Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 is Resolution 2015-128, resolution to enter a cooperative purchasing program with the Somerset County Purchasing or Pricing System. So one of the things in the state of New Jersey, there's things known as state contract, and there's vendors that municipality would use or school system that would work with the state contract person who's already, the state of New Jersey has negotiated a price presumably lower than if they weren't under that contract. And there's also a number of co-ops that are out there. Our Chief Financial Officer, John Antonides, is continuously searching the state for best pricing, especially at large purchases that you're going to hear about shortly. So this particular co-op agreement is to be entered in so we can move forward with the next item on the agenda, which is a purchase. So this is Resolution 2015-128. Any comments from the committee?
And just to be clear, it doesn't cost the town anything. Not a
Thank you.
And how long is this for, this contract?
5 years, which is typical.
It just gives us the.
5 years, or is it 5 whole years, or 365 years? It means it's going to expire January 1 now.
Well, its next extension, it says the extension is due December 31st, 2018. So they can be
That's
up to
only
5
3
years. Yeah, well, that's right, that's all it is then. It could be up to 5 years.
But there's no downside to entering into this agreement.
This is an opportunity to participate in the.
And look and see what they're buying or not buying.
Right, okay. Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Marlboro?
Yes.
Councilman Mamtine?
Yes.
Mayor Shatner?
Yes. Item number 5, Resolution 2015-129, resolution confirming purchase of 2016 Kenworth Model T470 hook lift truck through the Somerset County Cooperative Pricing System. I know with some of his expertise, Deputy Mayor Orgo has had some discussions with our Public Works Director and our Administrator. Tom, you want to fill us in a little bit
Well,
on these two
we had a
trucks
meeting,
that we've been talking about?
we had a meeting on today about this truck, and we're gonna hold off purchasing it. Only because two reasons. Number one, the S-type lift, S-hook lift on it will not work with other boxes, and we're gonna look at a regular box to lift it. And Eddie and I came to agreement that we would wait on this truck and see what comes out of the next purchasing.
So we'll table that one?
We're gonna table this one,
Okay, that's,
or whatever you wanna do, vote it down or whatever.
no, just table it. You could always amend it the next time around, right?
Right, and then, so on that.
So you want to, I'll move to table 2015-129 until our next meeting,
December 9th.
based on the deputy.
We got to table to a date certainly, it can either be the 9th or the 20th. Or
The ninth, you have to push it before the 15th, right?
Yeah, that's the 9th.
All right.
Okay, excellent. That brings us resolution
So we
to
gotta get through that whole
Yeah.
motion second part.
Motion,
I made the motion.
motion, second.
Second.
roll call.
Deputy Mayor Orgo,
Yes.
Mayor Melton,
Yes.
Mayor Shattuck.
Yes. Resolution 2015-130, resolution confirming purchase of 2016 International dump truck with snowplow. This happens to be state contract number 79123-T-2787 in the amount of $118,185. These two vehicles were discussed under the program, the budget earlier this year, and
The funds allocated.
the funds have been allocated, yes. Any comments from the committee on these?
Yes. This truck, even though it says it, does not come with a snowplow. Right? Not this one. That's what Eddie said specifically. This one didn't come with a snowplow. Came with the hitch.
Are we taking a, okay, are we taking a plow from the existing truck and using it on that one?
So, I think it's just a type of
No.
It's still,
Yeah, there's no snowplow on this piece. When you read this resolution, there's no snowplow with this truck, or sand or anything else.
We have the specs in front of us here.
Right. Go to the back page.
I see the hitch, yeah.
There's no snowplow with it, no sander, because we have both.
All right, so they're replacing,
Just the truck.
Right.
Okay.
But it says in here we're replacing the snowplow.
so that's not accurate, so it really should be amended. Should be amended. I'll move it as amended without the snowplow.
Second.
I have a second, so it would be a roll call, please.
Are you getting all the additional options on the last page? On the last page, are you getting all those additional options?
Oh,
That-
yeah,
that is-
$3,500 with extras.
Okay.
That's the right number, that's 118,185.
Right. So I have a motion and second as amended, so it would be roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo,
Yes.
Mayor Melton,
Yes.
Mayor Shattuck.
Yes. We have a motion to adopt consent agenda, which has two resolutions, 2015-131, resolution authorizing release of maintenance guarantee planning board application number 646, the orchards at Colts Neck, and resolution 2015-132, resolution appointing deputy registrar of vital statistics, Kathleen Capristo. Any comments?
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo,
Yes.
Mayor Melton,
Yes.
Mayor Shattuck.
Yes. Number 8 brings us to administrative reports.
Okay, just a couple of follow-ups from previous meetings, specifically the October 28th meeting with, in connection with Rockfest. There was a request to table that at the time, that discussion, in an effort to reach out to Mr. Warrendorf for more information about what the 2016 event entails. He has done that, and the department head meeting has been scheduled for December to go over that in more detail. So we'll report back as we get closer. Sightline issues. Again, a follow-up to the October 15th meeting where 3 Sightline violations were brought to the attention of the township committee. One of those we found to not be in violation. The other two notice of violations have been issued. One has already been abated, so that issue is already taken care of. And the last one is still pending, Route 34 in Clover Hill. We're still pursuing the summons to attention of that. And then finally, the Little Soldiers Program, which is a program, as you can see on the display over here on the right, that provides gifts for children of deployed soldiers in the state of New Jersey. And thanks to the generosity of the Township of Colts Neck in past years, we've exceeded our goals for the toy drive and hope to do so again this year. The 2015 Wish Star gifts will be collected by our toy drive coordinator, Beth Cara, by December 9th. So that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you. Item number 9 is motion to approve the vouchers. The only caveat to this is there's a final, still one-step approval. So as we go through this, it would be approving pending that final finance chair review of the vouchers. Or it's just a timing issue tonight. The vouchers total $5,438,595.46. All the committeemen have had for several days now our voucher list. Is there any questions on the list? So then I need that motion just pending that final approval by the finance chair, which is Committeeman Fitzgerald.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Longo?
Yes.
Committeeman Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Committeeman Ragnow?
Yes, except to abstain for securities.
Mayor Shasta?
And yes, except for abstain for Tina. That brings us to Township Committee reports. We'll go with Russell first. Excellent. Mike, I know you just jumped in, but
I did, I'll catch up. I don't, it's actually not my committee, but I did get a phone call from someone from the fire police, and they proudly have shared, and I'm actually proud of them too, that they now have 4 folks on the fire police that are TIM, I think I have that right, certified. They apparently went to a course that's taught by the DOT on how to handle traffic issues in the event of serious incidents on state highways. So they're now certified to handle that, which I think is terrific. And I've asked that information be forwarded to our administrator so that Mr. Cuso could send that on to our insurance fund, because I think that'll probably be beneficial to us, that there's something else that they're checking off. They're proud of having accomplished it. So 4 of our fire police are now are TIM certified, assuming I have TIM correct, but so they can handle things on the highway. And they've actually coordinated with both the regular fire department, working with first aid and our police department, so everybody knows who has the right credentials to be where and anyway. So that's something I never would have thought of, but they're being obviously very proactive, and it's good to see.
thank you. Tom?
We had a planning board meeting the other night. The site hasn't been approved yet. They've got to do some more. We need more information.
Just let me know what site you're talking about.
On the corner of Lakeside and 537, it has a iron lead arsenic reading on it. And they did more testing and it came up iron. So they got to figure out how they're going to remediate it or what they're going to do, because the gentleman who was there claims that it's airborne. And if it's airborne, that's one thing, but if it's on the ground, and if any kids are going to play or anything else like that, they're going to have to cap it for 6 inches or whatever they're going to have to. They got to come up with something. So that got tabled for another month. The CNBA is working with us on Colts Neck as the crossroads, however we're going to change it or whatever. Other than that, that's about it for tonight.
Great, thank you.
Oh, one other thing. I read an article the other day. Deer. Right now, between now and January 1st, like I said last time, is the highest time. They say that 1 in 249 New Jersey residents are going to hit a deer between now and the end of the year. That's how many there are and how much. So drivers are high beams on as much as you can without blinding somebody. You just go a little slower for a little bit. Or take them out. Hit them, I'm telling you, hit them. Do not avoid and hit a tree.
Yeah, stay on the road.
Hit them, because if you hit them, it goes on your comprehensive insurance. It does not go on collision. If you swerve and hit the tree, now you have an accident. If you hit the deer, it's not chargeable against you, and you got a lesser deductible and everything else. You know,
I will tell you, Mayor, I haven't seen the whole video, a woman who was concerned about, to cover that already. I did if you cover that.
She has expressed concern.
Yes, that's you. Her husband did here tonight.
Yeah,
They're there.
all too common, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, the hunting season is over, so.
it's not over yet. They're right now, the season's on. Season will end in February, so.
They're not running from things, now they're running to things.
Yeah, they'll hit you inside the car, they're so crazy.
Thank you. On behalf of the township, as your mayor, I had the chance of attending 2 Veteran Day ceremonies yesterday. Just fantastic. One was sponsored, if you will, by the Women's Club of Old Snack, which has been around for many years. If I'm correct, it might be 1964 that chapter of the Women's Club was formed. So they held helped sponsor a wonderful ceremony during the day that happened to be at Cedar Drive School with a 7th and 8th grade class. Got to observe and participate. I think it was both 7th and 8th graders had a chance to interview veterans in our town, introduce them. It was an absolute honor to be there. And then in the evenings, the Coleston Community Church had a dinner for the veterans, and the ceremony was just as nice. So I was very proud to participate in both of those on behalf of the township yesterday. That's all I have tonight, along with always thanking our Coleston First Aid Squad and Fire Department. With that, I'll bring comments from the public. Jeff?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Committee, Jeff Sauter, 41 Ann Street. I got a comment that I'm going to read, and to the Deputy Clerk, you don't have to worry about taking notes. I'll give you a copy for the record so you can put it in the official records. Dear Mayor, at the last Township Committee meeting on October 28, 2015, during your report, you brought up National Volunteer Day and spoke for just over 3 minutes about the importance of giving back to the community. Never hearing such a day, I quickly did a little research and did see that National Volunteer Day only relates to the country of Ghana in the continent of Africa. The United States does appear to recognize National Volunteer Week, held late April, and National Family Volunteer Day, held late November. There also happens to be a Make a Difference Day held each October 24th, and possibly you were referring to that special day, which recognizes community services, or maybe you're just creating your own day. Anyway, that is neither here nor there, and the important issue is truly recognizing the countless volunteers that make this community what it truly is. Unfortunately, your over 3-minute report on volunteerism included nearly 70% of that time simply talking about yourself and backstepping from your previous comments with respect to your alleged contributions and extreme activity, quote, on the fire company. Rather than talk about yourself as a case in point, explain how or why your activity may have been anything but extreme now, it would have been much more appropriate to single out another volunteer who never seeks the limelight, but endlessly contributes to the community. An excellent case in point would have been the late Mark Pierce of Fire Company Number 2. As another option, you could have spoke about the endless contributions of Alan Ryan on the fire company who sits over here, Judy Laufer, who's not here tonight, on the Recreation Committee, or Debbie on the First Aid Squad, do day in and day out for the community, who were all actually present during your comments and would have greatly appreciated such unexpected public recognition. So as a member of the Township Committee, and most importantly as our mayor, you should recognize those selfless volunteers over patting yourself on the back. Secondly, I would like to address to you as our mayor my concerns with Committeeman Jared Engel's reluctance to inform the public of his future intentions to serve you, and most importantly, the community over rumors that he has either moved or will be moving in the near future. I know another member of the community first brought up the rumor, in which I subsequently referenced at a more recent township meeting, and Mr. Engel refused to confirm or deny those rumors. Rather, Jared Engel simply preferred to interrupt my comments by smearing same and somehow interjecting his own commentary about my body language and public comments. Though unprofessional and disrespectful as that may be toward the public and the basic principles of civil discussion, it is unfortunately par for the course. Anyway, it appears from my research and attempt to understand the facts that Jared Engel started a new job or position back in July of this year based in North Carolina. It also appears that Jared Engel's house is up for sale since at least July as well, which further supports the growing rumors. Finally, Jared Engel himself refuses to confirm or deny those rumors, which further raises suspicions of his ability to serve through the end of his elected term. By ability to serve, I just don't mean boots on the ground, but his ability to focus his attention, thoughts, and times for the betterment of this community over that of a new job, residents, and community. So I ask you as our mayor and chief executive to honestly review this matter with the entire township committee members to ensure his full heart and mind are engaged here 100% for the residents of Colts Neck. I would also ask that after completing your review with your fellow committeemen, that you report back to the public at the next meeting with those findings. If Jared Engel's boots and mind are 100% in the game for the residents, then perfect. I could not ask for anything more as a resident. However, if not, then I would call upon you as our mayor and the entire committee to immediately request his resignation in good standing, and most importantly, allow us to elect someone who is truly here to represent the people. To no disrespect to Jared Engel, he has done some wonderful things for Colts Neck, and most notable to me was his engagement with JCP&L during Superstorm Sandy. So for that, I personally say thank you to Jared Engel. But sometimes it is difficult to move on, like we all eventually do in life, to embrace new joys and challenges, and hopefully Jared Engel himself will draw this conclusion himself, and soon. Thank you.
Other comments? Al?
Yesterday, I was at the school with the Memorial Day ceremony, and as the mayor stated, it was a nice event, beautiful event, and honored the good people that serve this country. And I was really proud to be there, and I was proud to be a Colts Neck resident, and I am proud to be a Colts Neck resident. On the volunteer part of this, what I'm just hearing, I don't think, in my opinion, that anybody that volunteers should be questioned. And anybody that has done anything as far as volunteer, nobody has the right to question what they did because they're volunteering. You're not getting paid. You're getting up at 1:30 in the morning, you could be going first aid call, CPR. 2:30 in the morning, you could be going to a working car fire that could possibly, the car could explode. You don't know what you're going to get at any time. So anybody that's questioning as far as volunteer, they shouldn't, because you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You're doing it for no money. What are you doing? And I know for a fact that you have done good things or whatever, and I heard something just recently about you, what you did when you helped somebody or whatever. I didn't hear it. Nobody talked about it, you didn't. So, volunteer, you just keep it to yourself, and, you do what you do, and that's it. I'm not in it for anything, and I'm sure these ladies here aren't, and anybody that's there. I don't think they're in for it, for anything.
Thanks, Alan. Other comments this evening? Mike?
Michael Buell, Provision Place. I'd just like to thank the Township Committee Administrator for working on the line of sight site issues. One is in my neighborhood, it was addressed, and it's a much safer thoroughfare, so thank you.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention. David?
I would like to echo the comments. I think that this town lives with volunteers, and I think the township committee has always expressed to those volunteers the appreciation that the residents have through you to the volunteers. And so I think you've always supported the volunteers, and they appreciate your comments and your support. And this town, as you well know, lives on the basis of volunteers, and it's a committed group of individuals who sacrifice a lot of time and energy, as you do. No one sacrifices more time and energy than committee people do. So on behalf of the residents, we'd like to thank you for the time that you put into the efforts to keep our community the way it is. My second comment would be that I failed to mention in my earlier presentation that the Environmental Commission, as you have always been, equally concerned about these conservation easements and making sure that they're maintained once they're put in. The Environmental Commission has started a process of having a file on each one of these that we bring before you, and we're going to look at them a year from now, so that we can see what has happened a year from now as to whether or not there's still an operation of the columns there, any restrictions, what is happening to them a year from now, so that hopefully when those properties ultimately come up for sale, or when the homeowner wants to do anything, we won't be back in front of you again to try to resolve some of those problems. So that's one way we're hoping to minimize the issue of conservation.
Excellent, thank you for that. Seeing no other comments, I'll go into resolution.
Can I just ask one other
Sure, of
question?
course.
I'm just curious, and what's the difference between the Somerset County, the cooperative, and a state contract?
Sure, so what the chief financial officer does is looks at the purchase that we're going to make, tries to find the lowest price. So for that one truck that we'll talk about on December 9th, is the Somerset price was lower than the state contract price. So it's kind of,
Or they don't offer it.
kind of like,
I'm
or
sorry,
they
what's
don't
that?
offer.
Or they don't offer it.
It's
They don't
probably,
have it on the state.
The state doesn't offer it, but Somerset does.
Right.
That particular truck,
I'm sorry, but
that particular truck, Alan, because by law, no one can have a lower price. They can't offer a lower price than what they offer the state. But they may offer a different, slightly different product, and therefore they can be on that cooperative purchase program that the state wouldn't otherwise have.
thank you.
Hi, Debbie. I have a good question. It's a little off what we've been talking about tonight, but it's been in the news. Monmouth County tax assessment for our properties. I noticed that some towns are suing to get out of that program. Do we plan on getting out of that program?
Yeah, you know, I can tell you candidly, when this program was implemented last year, we were the first ones to make us think about it. And some of it was done publicly. We did. And then we did follow up with inquiries, both with our tax assessor, with the county, and we got answers that were about as satisfactory as we were going to get. Ultimately, it's a mandated program. As far as I knew, there was only 1 or 2 towns that were filing suit.
There's 5 towns that are not in the program.
But all Monmouth counties in this pilot program.
Yeah, all of the counties mandated. It's required.
yeah, we get no option.
Yeah, it wasn't optional. We didn't have a choice. It's a pilot program. All the municipalities in the county are involved. But the prospect of suing to get out of the program, which for me is a waste of money because we're not getting out. It's state mandated. I think would be wasting taxpayer money doing that, number one. And number two, it hasn't been shown yet, and I'll use the word yet because I'm not sold on it yet, that there's been any adverse impact to taxpayers of Colts Neck. So I'm not sure what we'd be trying to fix right now.
Well, personally, I was affected.
No. Look, people's taxes are going to go up. There's no doubt about it. And whether it happens sooner or later, which is really the most manifest impact to this program, is that instead of being reassessed every 10 years, there's a rotating basis where there's reassessment on a percentage of the home base. Right. So where you may not have seen that increase for another 10 years, because we just did a reassessment, now you're seeing it in more short order. And believe me, we had concerns. But it's not to say that the assessment is not the right assessment. Now, you still have your remedy, you have the ability to appeal your tax assessment. So that remedy is not lost. The argument that's been made on the other side is that these assessments that are being done on a more regular basis and the attendant inspections that are being done more frequently will more accurately reflect the valuations of the homes and lead to more consistency. I think it's too, me personally, and I'm not speaking for any of the other committeemen, I think it's too soon to say whether that will or will not manifest itself. It is a concern that we have. We thought that, for the reason that you're bringing to us, that the tax appeals would go up drastically. That so far has not proven to be the case, but it's just started. So, for me, I have to reserve my opinion on the program until I see the real impact from it. I just think it's too soon. And suing at this point, for me, would be an absolute waste of taxpayer money. It's not going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to win anything. It gets good publicity, gets a lot of press, but ultimately, I don't think there's going to be any positive result coming from that. Hopefully, perhaps, maybe the publicity gets the state to look at this program again, but maybe not either. Because I think the people that have expressed the problems are people like you that have gotten a quick reassessment, and I did too, by the way. Mine went up a little bit, not drastically, but that have seen a short order increase in their assessment. And it is problematic because you were just reassessed. But ultimately, in the long term, if we look at it over the long term, what is the net effect going to be? I just don't think we know that yet. Because as more assessments are done over this time frame, over this 5-year cycle, are things going to equalize out? And I think that still remains to be seen. Mike, do you have any?
I think I recall when they first brought this voice of the program on us, I suggested the only thing that was going to happen was going to be an increase in tax appeals. What's supposed to happen is they're supposed to revalue all of the properties in town and inspect 20% of them. That's the program. Now, I will tell you that I've gone through at least 2 revaluations in 2 different towns. I can tell you that as a general rule, we did the reval in 9, 10-ish, 10 or 11, so I forget what it was now, a couple of years ago. As a general rule, a third of the houses will stay the same, a third will go up, a third will go down. We had people who had, one was a township committee person at the time, and his taxes actually, after the reassessment, went down nearly $4,000 a year because he had been overassessed for the preceding 8 years, because it just so happened that his house had been, the work had been done on his house, and it had a very high value that wasn't caught up with until 2010. So the new program is supposed to flatten the field a little bit, it's supposed to flatten the peaks and valleys of what happens, and so therefore the program is attractive to them. I didn't see it as being attractive. I still don't think it's being attractive. I think a decentralized valuation doesn't really take into account some of the nuances that people would know in their own town. I'm not happy, never was happy with the population of the folks involved with the thing. I'm still not. I don't like, quite frankly, a tax program that was written by the tax person at the county. So that's, well, they haven't had the process.
No, they did.
No.
They did.
So the reality is that use the appeal process if you've been affected, but the system that they have in place isn't affecting the valuations. You may not be happy with the valuation, but that's different than the system. And you and I had a conversation the other night about it, and you mentioned that there were a couple, when the mayor was unable to make it the other day, they addressed the Cub Scouts at an event at the First Aid Station, a couple of folks were there. And you pointed out to me there are a couple of towns in Monmouth County that are in the system, which I was surprised to learn. I didn't think that was the case. But maybe that's just bad.
It's a county-wide,
There's so, well, no, there's 2 different things. The indication is that there's 48 towns in the program of the 53. So there's 5 towns that aren't in it. I suspect that the 5
are using a different company. than the one that's mostly being talked about.
So it's not realty appraisals, if other 5 towns are using a different company, so
Or
it's
doing
not,
it themselves.
or doing it themselves.
Right.
So it's not that they're not in the program, they are. So that, and I forgot the other question, what you have in the other night that didn't answer.
We just, sorry, James. We put together our own little committee, just like analyzing how the township looks. And we noticed that if you have 1 acre of land in one part of Colts Neck, it's assessed at differently than another acre in another part of Colts Neck. What is that difference? Why is that different?
We'll get the tax assessor in the tax, because 1 acre, as you can imagine, 1 acre, for example, on, a heavily traveled road would be assessed differently than a 1 acre piece of property.
No, these are like total, the same communities, very comparable.
If they're different parts of town, if they're different parts of this town, they aren't the same community.
Yeah, but just, but if, have you not know about our tax assessor?
What was that? Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, nice guy, I mean, obviously, he's the one that has to answer those questions as far as valuation, he's the one that does them, so I don't.
Well, he just said it, but it's my class. He had no answers.
Okay.
So this is why I was just,
I would bring it to his personality reports to the township administrator. If there's some answers they
There's
just.
multiple reasons it can be.
Right.
An acre is an acre, but it's not necessarily have the same frontage, for instance. Some of it's done on the amount of frontage that's on a road, what type of road it is, and the values in the neighborhood. So here you don't have waterfront except around the reservoir, but a home on the reservoir would be valued differently than a home in.
yeah, we looked at that comparables. But
Okay.
we'll figure, we'll.
So there's
discuss it
different variables is all I'm saying.
Some have overhead utilities, some have under.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. adds up.
Yeah.
There's different variables.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is frontage.
Yep.
Is 1 acre now is what, 300?
Yeah, 200 by
No,
200.
Right.
Yeah, those were considered.
And I want to make another point, because it kind of gets lost in this, is nobody wants to pay taxes, but assuming some fundamental fairnesses, and sometimes that doesn't always happen, there can be mistakes made. And we've had situations where houses have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars more than they're assessed for, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, if your house is assessed for something higher than you think, you must have a better product. The resale of your home in the neighborhood is going to be better. You're going to get a higher price. So the reality is that the higher priced homes have higher taxes over the course of it. So if you're comparing, it's hard to compare a house almost anywhere unless it's exactly next door and exactly the same finish and exactly the same inside and exactly the same, building. Those are really the only two you can compare as being the same. So, or you have a place like the Grand because they're very similar units in close proximity to each other. But other than that, it's very, very difficult. And quite frankly, the reality is the market is still going down. So the value of houses are going down. And as we didn't have a chance to talk about the other night, this town, like every other town, and I apologize if I'm boring everybody, but we are revenue neutral by law. We can't increase taxes for purposes of building a surplus. We can only tax for that which we are spending. So, and for the public fisc. So it's not a situation where we're trying to find these loopholes or ways to generate money so we can bank or have certificates of deposit or do something else. The reality is that because we're revenue neutral year by year, if your taxes have gone up a little bit, other than the 2% that we're spending more every year because of the cap, somebody else's have gone down because of the equalization part of it. So it's not a very, very simplistic, straightforward.
Yeah, I realize that, and I appreciate your efforts because this is a very conservative town and we don't waste money. But it was just more looking at the logistics of how the properties are assessed.
Ruth, did you have something?
Yeah, I did have a question. Could you just explain what this resolution 2015-131 is? Resolution authorizing a lease of maintenance guarantee, planning board application number 646.
Sure.
Orchard and Coltsneck?
Sure, so that's why it's on a consent agenda, is that's almost every meeting that we have one of those. So when there is a planning board application put in, there's a process, depending on the improvements that they're doing, they have to put money up front to be set aside as that's getting taken care of. When they fulfill those requirements, that landowner will come back and request that maintenance guarantee, if this was a maintenance guarantee.
It was a maintenance guarantee.
Maintenance guarantee that says that we did the requirements that you requested, so now we would like that money that we set aside. So, and the engineer goes out, inspects it, we get a letter from the engineer saying that everything has been up to standard and has met the requirements, and that's, their money goes back.
This application is for when they added the cantilever parking lot.
Right.
On the top.
In 2012, probably, right?
Right, and, you know, our engineer says you have to put a cash bond up, we'll say $50,000. Meantime, the engineer's pays come out of that, the lawyers, and everything else like that. When he gets done, there's a balance. Hopefully, if not, we ask for more money, but usually there's a balance. So in case they don't finish the job right to what we want, we can go in and
And
finish
we
it.
use the money to finish it.
Okay.
So that's a very standard thing that's done in township. Denise, anything?
Oh, no, it was you, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Long day, late duty, sorry.
great, yes.
Can I add one thing, or one
Sure.
question? There was a large arrest in the last couple of weeks for a car theft ring that had operated through Monmouth County. Is there any indication that that was related to the thefts of the last 2 years?
We did that on purpose, Mike, you're
Well, I mean, hopefully this is, now it's, obviously we use a lot of our cars, but
I think before you arrived here in Colsack, the local joke is that I lost 2 cars out of my driveway, so you probably wouldn't have known that, in fairness, but I don't, at least what I read, and based upon my information, I think it does not, although it was operating in Monmouth County, it does not appear to be the same ring that was here in Colsack in 11, 12, and 13.
I've been back a couple times.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a transient car operating out of that North Elizabeth area.
Because one car was found that it shouldn't have been doing
Crazy, huh?
thank you.
Yeah, they came in anyway it goes.
You're welcome. Resolution 2015-133, executive session, motion. All in favor? Thank you all.